Hello friends, welcome to Knitography. I'm Patricia and I'm coming to you from the middle of Norway. It's the weekend now and I'm trying to take advantage of some natural lighting here in my studio. Today is the last installment of my New Year vlogs, vlog number 5. And I just wanted to finish up talking to you about some of the topics that I wanted to catch up with when I wasn't able to finish Vlogmas in December. So I thought this video would be recorded the day after vlog number 4, but it's been a really busy week for me. Firstly, I'm in the middle of assessment writing and I'm just at the final stages of that this weekend, and the deadline is tomorrow, so I've got some proofreading to do, and yeah, I'm feeling okay about that. But as many of you know, I have my own Grå Trøndersau sheep, and they are living and housed on a co-op farm here in Trøndelag. And during December, I really wasn't, after having a back injury, I wasn't able to meet my weekend responsibilities that it takes when you are part of a co-op. We all take turns. The farmer's family and the farmer, they do the weekly task of taking care of all of the animals and life on the farm. But then on the weekends, the co-op group takes their own weekend. And so I really wasn't able to take my weekend. And so then if you need to do some makeup time, you get on a list and they call you in case somebody has an emergency or in case somebody gets sick. So I needed to fill in for one of the other co-op members one evening, a Thursday evening of this week. And then after that, I joined a bit of a lecture about Norwegian pelsøl. So it was a little meeting for that group. We have a Grå Trøndersau group, and we come together and we discuss topics surrounding those sheep. But there's also a Norwegian pelsøl group, and it just happened to be local, so I popped in and got to chat with some of the people there, and yeah, I was there to look at some of the pelsøl fiber and got some of that, so I was really excited about that. But yeah, so that was a long evening of mucking up and doing all of the things that need doing around on the farm. And then I'll pick up my regular weekend this weekend in January. And if you're interested in seeing life on the farm when I've done that job, I have recorded one of my visits there in one of my vlogs. I think it says on the vlog title. When I'm there, I'm so busy. I've got a lot of tasks to accomplish that I haven't videoed so often. But, and also winter is not the best time to video because the animals are, although on our farm they are free roaming, so they come in and out, but a lot of it is inside the barn, and it's a farm. It's not the nicest atmosphere, and it's a bit loud, with all of the different animals and things like that. So, yeah, mostly because I'm really busy, I haven't filmed there very much. So, and then I just took an evening last night to do some knitting and also do some assessment writing and then relax a little bit. So I decided rather than video again in the dark, I would just video now, try to take advantage a little bit of the natural light. So I've made a little list because yeah, first of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone that commented or contacted me after the last vlog when I was explaining about once you put your stitches on the waist yarn, how you proceed knitting up the palm and using that backwards loop cast on method. So that helped a lot of people, and I really that felt great to be able to share that. So yeah, thumbs are, I really enjoy knitting thumbs, and I'm going to talk a little bit about thumbs in relation to my Latvian mitten that I am knitting now. And I have talked about knitting the gusset. I've talked about knitting the backwards loop method with the thumb. And if you catch this video in time today, on Instagram in one of my stories, I shared a photograph when I picked up the stitches in pattern on the Latvian mitten. So yeah, you want to pick up those stitches when you come back to it. But I'll get back to thumbs in another one of my vlogs in future, one of my regular vlogs. So I've had a couple of questions that I want to answer, and one of them is pertaining to the cuff, when you're knitting cuffs on the selvbuvåter. And you know, about making sure you get a better fit. You know, if you have really small wrist, and I'm just an average medium sized, yeah, my wrist, it works fine with most of the mittens, but I often have to reduce the cuff when I'm knitting for my daughter. And with this mitten that I knit for my daughter, I just followed the pattern, but normally, whatever the pattern says when it comes to the cuff, if you know that you have a smaller mitten, you want to definitely go down a needle size, a full needle size. Yeah, well, the half step. Like if it's 3, you want to go to a 3 millimeter, you want to go to a 2.5. And I use that technique. First, I go down a needle size, and that's just going to give you a tighter gauge and a closer fit. And then whenever you are blocking the mitten, the sort of technique that I use for Emma's mittens is that I usually block this portion in hot water. And I'll just dip this part of the mitten in, because I just want this part of the mitten to be blocked as normal, because this part of the mitten is fitting fine. It's just at the wrist. So I will submerge this in hot water, and then I will agitate it. I'll agitate it. I've gone down a needle size, and then I'm going to really work the cuff underwater. To agitate it, and to, in a way, you're felting it a bit. You're just felting it in a bit. You're not going to lose any of the motif or anything like that, but you're just going to felt that down a bit. And then I will just, once I've done that really good, and it's, you know, soaked in there for the 10 minutes, then I will go ahead and submerge the rest of the mitten without much agitation. Just let this submerge right down into the water. I might help it a little bit get underwater, and then I'll let it sit there for the 20 minutes. But the first step I'll do is to really, without submerging the top of the mitten, I submerge the cuff. And that for me has really helped to have a better fitting mitten for my daughter. So that's just a technique I use, and you should try it and see if it works for you. So going down a needle size and blocking the cuff separately has been very effective for making sure that the cuff fits a bit tighter around my daughter, who has very long fingers but a very small wrist. The other question I had was in relation to knitting these knitting socks without nylon. Now I have to say I did talk about that, but I don't have loads of experience. But what I do have an experience with is that if I were to do that, as in these socks that I knit, the question, I hope I'm answering the question correctly, but it's sort of the same principle. I'm going to make sure that I choose, like I did, the high twist yarn, which is going to give me more wearability. And I'm going to knit, like I said, I knit this sock at the tightest gauge. And I got a very dense fabric, which is what I like. But with the toes and the heel, if you've got a really good fitting sock, then what is going to happen is that this part is absolutely going to felt down. And if you felt it down a bit, you know, you're going to get a thicker fabric. You're going to get a more hard wearing fabric. So, you know, I mean, if I was worried about when I block these, I might use the hot water. You know, I might felt the toe, I might felt the heel, but definitely what's going to happen is with pure wool without nylon, even all over the sock, you're going to get just a really lovely felting. And that, my experience is that felting is really going to happen on the inside where your floats are, to create a denser and, in my experience, a more hard wearing fabric. So I hope that answers the questions about socks and cuffs, as far as using pure wool. And of course, I only have experience using Norwegian wools. Really, that's the wool that I only use Raumaul when I knit mittens, or, you know, this of course is the first sock I've ever knit. This is the first kind of, not pure wool, because I knit rag socks in pure wool, but this is sort of the first stranded knitting that I've done in socks. I'm not a big sock knitter. Most of the socks that I do knit are the superwash, but I prefer the Regia or the Opals because their wools are, even though they're washable, they do have a bit of nylon, but they just seem woolier and more hard wearing. I'm not an expert on this topic, actually, but I can tell you what I'll report back with my sock more when it's worn. So those are a couple of the questions. I'm just going to look at the look at my list. It's nice to come in out of the forest and have a really nice warm cup of tea, because it is, although there is a bit of sunshine today, which was lovely, it's quite cold today. It's little bit wind. It's nice up here on the mountain today. So I'm really excited because I have finished, last night I finished my Latvian mitten, and I did post this on Instagram. I enjoyed knitting this mitten so much, but I have to say that just not because of the skill level of the mitten, but this mitten took me a little bit longer to knit than my normal knitting of mittens. I wanted to really be sure that I understood how to knit the tip of the Latvian mitten. I wanted to make sure if there was any sort of different technique in knitting it. I stopped the knitting of it to study how to do the decreases. And what I found was that it's exactly the same technique as the selvbuvotter, except that in this pattern at the top, they decrease in the pattern. So you'll notice that there are grays on the side of that. Now, I didn't do that because I actually prefer the selbu way, in which you're going to decrease and have a line of color, and this one being the black color all the way at the top. So I did modify that, although I did use the same technique. Now, when you're looking at the mitten, the right hand side of the mitten in every Selbüvalter pattern I have ever used is a slip slip knit method on this side and a knit two together on this side. And you do your little decreases. I just decided to do the black all the way up and not do the little gray bits at the top. So it's really not important. It's just your preference. But what you do is when you're looking at the mitten, always the right side of a Selbüvalter or Latvian mitten is going to be slip, slip, knit, decrease, and then you knit two together. Then turn your mitten over and it's going to be the same. It's when you're looking at it. The slip, slip, knit, knit two together. And then I just went all the way up. Now you're going to get up and it was the same, pretty much the same. I think it was a little different because on the Latvian mitten you got up to 2 stitches and on a Selbüvalter you usually get up to the tip with 3 stitches. But I don't really see any difference in the tip there. But I'm talking about this point. So you get this nice point at the top. You get down to the 2 stitches on the Latvian mitten, or depending on the pattern, and the 3 stitches for the Selbüvalter, and then you break both of the colors that you're working with. In other words, I broke about that much of my gray and black. I got a tapestry needle, and whichever side your yarn is on, which is usually this side because you're finishing in the back, you go through the stitches, turn it around, go through the stitches again, pull tightly, you're going to see the tip, and then you're going down into the mitten to create that beautiful tip. And it's done on Selbüvalter, and also the songbird mitten had the same technique at the top. Well, any Selbüvalter I've ever knit has that same technique at the tip. So then you get this really nice line, outline of the tip. So that worked out perfectly. So there's really, to demystify it, there's really no difference in the decreases of a Latvian mitten and the Selbüvalter mitten. There's a connection there. I really, really, really enjoyed knitting this mitten. And I am now on the thumb, and I was just knitting away on the thumb. I'll be finished with it soon, but I wanted to save it a little bit for this vlog. Now, I picked up, a peasant mitten. Hope I don't lose my place. A peasant mitten, or the peasant thumb, is meant to not be visible. It's meant to, blend in to the regular thumb. In other words, it will be invisible, like the front of it, So when I'm finished with this thumb and I lay this thumb down, you see where the tip is going to be, right? So it's just like a little, it might be up here or here, I'm not sure, but it'll just lay into the pattern. That's what's unique about Latvian mittens. Whereas the Selbü mitten, of course, you're going to have connection to the palm, a little greeting, a hils on the thumb. Whether it be a date or a picture of a little person or, whatever you're going to have on there. So, so what was really important about the peasant thumb, though, is that you can't really see where I picked up. I picked up in pattern. Now, it doesn't say in the pattern or any in the instructions, but I know I need to, again, use my own gut instinct. And so what I did is on the side, I just picked up in the color work, whatever it was. If it was a gray stitch, I used gray. If it was a black stitch, I used black. And I picked up 2 extra stitches on the side that I knit 2 together in the first round. And then when I got to the pattern, I just joined that in with the first pattern stitch to get rid of it. So to make sure that I don't have any gaps at the side. And as you can see, on this side, I have no gaps. and it just fits right in with the pattern when you lay it down. So I don't know if I think modern day Selbstbewalter knitting patterns, they write that in, but of course that wasn't written into the old patterns, and it's not written into the Latvian either. That's just a tip I can give you. And so then it's just lots of fun. You knit up. You're going to do the same thing that you did on the in a Selbstbewalter thumb or in a Latvian thumb. It's the same. Right side, slip, slip, knit. Left side, knit 2 together. And there you have it. Those are thumbs. The thing you just have to be careful of, and I'll try to look in here. Yeah, the thing that you just have to be careful of is to read the red lines, because every time the red line goes in, that's going to be a decrease. So in Selbstbewalter, all the stitches are level. That means you're not having any kind of increase or decrease. But if it goes in, that's going to be a decrease. And on this one, when it has the first step, I'm not even sure I can show that properly, but when it has the first step in, then you're going to slip, slip, knit on that right side, and then you're going to knit across, and it'll have a stair step in this way. You know, it goes this way, slip, slip, knit, knit across this way, knit 2 together. And that's basically it. And when you get to the tip of the thumb, whether it be the Latvian thumb or whether it be the Norwegian thumb, you're going to get down to 2 stitches. I'm not sure. Let me look at the thumb on this. Again, it's 2 stitches on the Latvian thumb and 3 stitches on the Selbstbewalter. That's my experience. And you do that same, break the yarn, pull it through, thread it through, turn it around, thread it through, pull tightly. You're going to get your point, and then take that thread down to secure the tip of it. And then you'll weave those ends in inside. Now, I want to give another mitten tip that is very beneficial, whether it be a Selbstbewalter or a Latvian mitten. And I have failed to remember to share this in any of my vlogs. But you know, I don't know if you've ever heard the technique block as you go. When I am knitting color work, I haven't heard anyone talk about this, so I want to really highlight this. One of the reasons my color work, you know, people often say, oh, it looks so even, it looks so nice, it's, you know, you're good at color work. Well, really, what I'm doing is I am blocking as I go all the time. I get my, like with this thumb, okay, you can already see I've done it. It's looking really nice. After I knit a round or 2, I stop my knitting, whatever I'm doing, maybe 2 or 3 rounds, and I pull my magic loop so that I'm just working with the cord. I'm not dealing with these stiff needles. I stick my finger into the thumb, block, agitate, pull it, stretch it out, really give it a jerking all the way around. You know, I do that with this one the whole time I was knitting it, because look here, here's the line. I left this side to show you. Look, it's kind of bulky, but what I do, go in, up and down motion, up, down, and I'm just blocking it as I go, blocking the whole time, stretching it, blocking it as I go. And that is the tip that I use to make my color work look really nice as I'm knitting. So, blocking as you go in the thumb, move your cords, stick your fingers in there, and I hope I'm showing this, and I'm just stretching it all the way around, and then I just pull my needles back and I start again. And I do that every 2, 3. When I get a bit of fabric knit, 3 to 5 rows, 2, 3, 5 rows. Just depends. And I enjoy that because it gives me a chance to really look at my stitches and to really enjoy the pattern. So that's one of the techniques that I use, and I think that it makes such a difference with the look of my color work. So try that technique, and if it works for you, let me know. A lot of people talk about, oh, my color work, it looks so bulky, it's not looking even. Do more blocking as you go. I do it a lot as I'm knitting. Let's see. So when I was at the co-op, one of the exciting things that happened was that I got to pick up some of the fiber that when I sheared my sheep in the spring clip, I only to pay for everything that I have to pay for to have my sheep. There's a lot of trading going on. There's a lot of it's hard to explain, but we trade a lot. And we use some of our fleeces as money in a way because the farmer can earn from them and so on. So anyway, when I did that and I separated out, I decided this year that I wanted to take the natural black, or it looks brown, but it is called the natural black. These are the colors that were actually from the Grote Rundersaal that were used for the Selby mitten. So I decided to take this out, and you see it's kind of, there's still some of the other grays in it. This is the darkest gray. And so I've been spinning this on my spinning wheel, and I wanted to just show you, in a minute I'm going to tell you about the trading, but while I'm talking about it, I've been spinning it on my new wheel. And this is the Grote Rundersaal. This is from my sheep. It's my spring clip. And after I sheared the sheep, then I had to scour the fleeces, and I sorted out the colors. And there's 3 colors that we get. We get a dark color, we get a medium gray color, which I'll go ahead and show you here. And then we get a very, very light color. And I actually did not bring my sample, so that's a bit sad. Maybe I'll show that in the next vlog when I do a proper longer vlog. But it is kind of this color, even though this is Icelandic. So you get 3 shades of gray. And this year, just because of finances and the cost and all of the things that I'm trying to do to have my sheep at some point, I traded the lighter grays because in the market, the lighter grays are the more valuable ones. And so I traded those in, and I only kept my fiber, my dark gray, which really looks like a chocolate brown black. I just kept that for myself. And then that was before my spinning wheel, and so I sent it off to the mill. I got on the list so that the mill would spin it into skeins of yarn. And I usually get, somewhere, it depends on the year, but sometimes I get 45 skeins, sometimes I get 50 skeins. I'm never sure. But I got on the list, and I was just waiting and waiting and waiting, and they were so busy, and the list is long because, of course, because of the Selbywater book, now the Grote Rundersaal fiber is becoming more sought after. There's a demand for it. So anyway, I decided to send my fiber to this excellent spinner, and because I was so eager to get some skeins, and she takes it in. She's a master spinner. And so anyway, when I got my wheel, she sent me back 200 grams of my fiber, and I'm still waiting for my skeins, but I will get my skeins of yarn, and I won't know until the very end how many I'll get from the spinning of the hanks and all of that. So one year I got 30, and one year I got, I think my first year I only got like 23 skeins, and then I got 45 skeins, and yeah, so that's probably the most I've ever had. It depends on when I had more colors. In total, I had about 60 skeins, but I'm talking about the dark one. So I wanted to show you one of my skeins from, I think this is I have my notes, but I think this is my, 2015 clip, spring clip, and this was mill spun. So this is from my own sheep, and you see, this is maybe a worsted weight, but this is one of my original hanks, and I just treasure this one so much. This is the Gros Trunderso, and that is this same color here. So they look beautiful when they're mill spun. And my dream, of course, is to, to have this as a product from my farm. And hopefully, have a relationship where I'm big enough that I can have all of the gray colors and as a product of my farm, but that is properly spun. Now, my own spinning, I've done, and I think it looks pretty good. This is my hand spun of this same thing. Now, you have to remember, this is a couple years ago, and this is my spring clip from 2017. And because this is a pure, this was really, I got a lot of help with sorting these colors, so I didn't do this alone. This was really when I was learning. So you see the sorting is really, and probably it has to do with the mill spinning too. But within my hand spun and from the fiber, you see there's a lot of still the lighter grays built in. And so you get this sort of heathered effect, or this millert, marbled effect. I'm not sure what it is in English. So right when I finished spinning that, of course, all of that was thrilling, and I really want to have a vlog just to talk about my feelings, because there's a lot of feelings connected to this. This was the outer skein. I got 234 meters of this, and I've just cast it on. I don't know if I'll have enough to make a little hat with it, but I'm just going to knit it whatever size it turns out. It really isn't about the piece at this point. It's about really just looking at my spinning, and I think it's pretty good. I think it looks beautiful knit up. So so this was the inner skein, and you see this is kind of when I started the spinning, and I don't even know if I'm going to, maybe I will wash this, but this was really the start of my spinning, and it's a lot of thick and thin. This was the inner parts, and before I really learnt I got a lot of tips, and I watched videos, and I took a Craftsy class, and then I don't know, something clicked, and then now this is an unbalanced single, so I haven't even balanced it with anything, and I'll try to maybe spin it and balance it and see. But this is the balanced yarn, and I think it's pretty good. So I'm really enjoying this process. This is all just my little farm dream. I don't know if it'll come to fruition, but I keep trying. And this is one of the products that I wish, would come from my farm when the sheep are actually here and not on the co-op. But I have 2 teenagers. I have to work a full-time job, and so this is it's a little dream on the side. But hopefully, in the future, the sheep will be here. I'll be approved 100%. I've told that story. I don't need to go into the inspections and where we are. I've told that in many vlogs. I'm very close. It could be this spring that I would get 100% approval. Everything now is in place, but it's just about being able to live from the farm and not have a 40-hour-a-week job, and I just don't see that happening this year or next year, because I do have to make a living and work. And yeah, this is just a cottage industry, really. So that's my hand spun yarn. And I wanted to, yeah, oh yes, I wanted to talk about the exchange. So anyway, I was on the co-op talking to some of the people there that also house their animals there, not just the gråtrunder. So there's cows there, there's goats there, there's all these different kinds of birds. Yeah, there's lots of different things going on this farm. But I was talking to one of the other gråtrunder co-op people, friends that I have. And of course, I got my spinning wheel, and I was lamenting the fact that I traded all of my fleece and only got this color. So the husband and wife team, they actually gave me some of their medium gray. So their gråtrunder are living among my gråtrunder, and I don't really even know how much this is, but she gave me a little cloud of this. And so just to spin it, I don't know, it'll probably be just something small. But this is the medium gray, and I really appreciate that. And of course, they traded their lightest color because that's very much in demand, or they've made it into yarns. And this couple, they do lots of julemarked, which is Christmas boutiques or little Christmas booths, and they sell their their skins, fleece skins, sheep skins, their yarns, their fiber. They've got some knitted felting projects like these. In Norway, we have these things that you sit on in your backpack. It's called a sitteunderlag, and they make those and sell them with a machine. So they've got their little cottage industry is going, and I love to talk to them because it makes me feel like I can realize my dream as well. So that is pretty much everything on my list. I know that I talked about the knitting bag book the last time, and there was some interest in a template. And if I get after my assessments and I get sort of back into the routine of everyday school, and I don't have all the paperwork going on, I might make a template. But what I did fail to mention were some of the blocks that I talk about and or that I reflect on in my knitting bag book. And I always have an area about my hydration to make sure I've drank enough water. I have a movement section to make sure that I've gotten all my steps in for that day. Of course, that went upside down when I injured my back. And what's really funny is if you go back and I look in my knitting bag book during that time, I can see a shift in everything in my knitting bag book, because that was kind of not a very nice time for me. So lots of things were not filled in, and I let a lot of things go, and I really recognized it in my mood in a way. It was a bit, a downer, I guess you could say. And I always have my giving back section and my making section, and maybe a quote or something that I'm reflecting on. And one of the sections that I didn't talk about last time, of course, was all of my worries, all of the things that I worry about, or that I have if I have a concern or anything. I list all of those there just to get them out, and I draw a line right through them to negate them. And again, if you want to know the sections of my knitting bag book, I encourage you to go back and listen to that vlog, because I have all those sections that keep me balanced and reflective. And I do not start any of my making in the morning. When I sit down at lunch at school, or even in the afternoon, before I take out my knitting bag book, and I do a bit of reflection, check where I am, with my movement or hydration or food or something. You know, Christmas you get a little bit. I was okay this year, but I know that in previous Christmases, if you get a little bit off of your plan because you're indulging more in treats or whatever, it's a good time to, you know, start recording again what you're eating and making sure that that's really, you know, close to the earth, as raw as possible and not processed. And that's really important for me and for my journey to do. So other than that, I am still knitting on my Telia. I took it with me all week. I did make some progress on it. It's in my bird legs bag now because it's the weekend, or the bucket bag that I keep. I've unpacked it from my travels. This is where I keep all my weekend things. This is from Bird Leg Bags. They are one of my favorite bags, if not my favorite ones in the States. And so she made this one, and I unpack everything I'm knitting on. I also have the Ridari sleeve finished for my husband, and I'm hoping to maybe cast on the other sleeve. And I forgot to say that, of course, my Latvian mitten is a part of the year of the mitten, the National Knit a Mitten Month for January, and the kid along with Treehouse Knits, Rachel at Treehouse Knits. Oh, and I do know that Rachel is going to make a tutorial for the afterthought, let's call it that, the afterthought thumb. This is a technique that she's tried out and she really likes to use, and I use the waste yarn method. And so I think it's really important that if you enjoy afterthought heels or whatever, you might enjoy the afterthought thumb. And Rachel was so kind to take on that task and to explain it. She has a new podcast up, which is very interesting. And she's talking about her year of the mittens and her kid along project. And I really enjoyed it. And we went on Instagram Live. And, you know, I think we have plans to go live again. So, and talk about the year of the mitten and the kid along. So we maybe should do an update with Instagram Live. So we'll let you know probably on Instagram when that might be. So that's exciting. It's a bit stressful to be on Instagram Live because you have only a certain amount of time. And I noticed that it was moving quickly. I was moving quickly because there was a lot to say, but we only have a certain amount of time, so yeah, I was a bit stressed, and I need to relax more in the next one because it was fast paced, and hopefully I've tried to research a way where we can interact more with the people that are sending questions. It's a learning curve, and it's a bit difficult to read because of the size of it. But I think the next time I do it, I'm going to do it on my iPad Instagram so that I can see it and we can really take questions and slow down and interact with the people that join us. So yeah, it's we're learning as we go. As you know, Rachel is knitting through the Mittens Around Norway book, and I am knitting Latvian mittens and Selbuvvaltur, and I'll show you the other one in the next vlog. I think that's really all that I wanted to share. If you have joined me for these 5 New Year's vlogs and you have commented or contacted me, or shared some of your tips or tricks or asked questions, I just want to thank you for that. I think I'm really caught up to where I am in my making now. I do have a couple of very interesting projects going on, and Sunday is sort of a little day where I'm really hoping something comes to life, and as soon as that happens I will share that. I don't want to jinx it, but Sunday is a little deadline for something very, very exciting connecting to the Selbuvvaltur book. And in my future vlogs, I am going to continue talking about the techniques, cuffs, palms, thumbs, tips. I'll continue to talk about that and tell those stories along. And I thought it might be fun too to translate some of the fairy tales from the Eventyrwörter book, the fairy tale book, because there's so much interest in the fairy tale book, and I've often thought of it, but I always forget. Some of them are connected to English fairy tales, but they're quite different in Norwegian. So maybe I'll just pick one of those in my vlogs and tell some of the more unique ones. Because some fairy tales are actually, specific to Norway and that. So I hope you are enjoying your making. And remember that if you want to contact me, or you want to give feedback, or you want to ask another question for a future vlog, you can find all of the information in the down bar, but you can reach me through Ravelry and through Instagram. I'm most reachable on Instagram, but I know that I need to go over to Ravelry and check in a little bit into my inbox. So, thank you for joining me for these 5 this little New Year's series of vlogs, and I will be back in a week or so for a regular vlog, hopefully on location and not just in my studio. Again, the light is returning, and I'm going to take you to some exciting places in and around Selbu and Trøndelag once again this year. Thank you for joining me, friends. Have a lovely weekend.